Hello, students. Welcome to yet another General English class. And today we are going to discuss the poem Childhood by Markus Natten. In the poem, we find that a poet is on a quest. He is looking for certain answers. He wants to know as to when and where he had exactly lost his childhood. Now that he is no more a child, he is in a state of dejection. He is very sorry for this loss, and that is why he is trying to find out if there could be a way to possibly get back his childhood. And during his study, he discovers that there are three steps which are involved in this transition of a child from childhood to maturity. Number one, the growth of rationalism. Number two, the knowledge of hypocrisy. Number three, the gaining of individuality. These are the three factors that lead to the end of innocence and the development of maturity. And now that the child is no more a child, his innocence is lost, the poet further discovers that this loss is permanent. Therefore, there is a sense of loss and nostalgia that strikes the mind of the poet. He realizes that the childhood phase of his life is now a forgotten place to which he can never go back. So today, let us start with the analysis of the poem, stanza wise. Stanza 1. When did my childhood go? Was it the day I ceased to be 11? Was it the time I realized that hell and heaven could not be found in geography and therefore could not be? Was that the day? Here, the poet seems to start with an interrogation, a question, and the question is, when did he lose his childhood? There are a number of possibilities as to when he had lost his childhood. So, one by one, he tries to assume why or when he had lost his childhood. First, he feels that maybe that day when he stopped being 11, he turned 12, which is the child's first entry into adolescence. Maybe that was the day that he had lost his childhood. Because once a child enters 12, he starts thinking rationally. He starts applying logic. He is introduced to subjects like geography, which depend on facts, evidences, and proofs. There was a time when he used to believe in the fairy tales which were being told to him by his elders. He believed in the existence of hell and heaven. But once he is an adolescent, he knows the difference between imagination and reality. He looks for the places like hell and heaven in the books of geography, and he discovers that these places are not to be found. So, those stories which as children the child trusted or believed in, suddenly they appear to be figment of imagination. And as the child grows up, with the acquisition, with the earning of new knowledge, he learns to differentiate between the real and the imaginary. Thus, he grows into a more rational being. He doesn't simply blindfoldedly trust. He starts questioning. So, this is the initiation or entry into maturity. We grow rational when we become adolescent and we learn the difference between right and wrong. This is the importance of turning 11. That is why, according to the poet, the age 11 is a very, very important and significant one, as it marks the transition from innocence into maturity. Coming to the second stanza, the poet repeats the question over here. When did my childhood go? Was it a time I realized that adults were not all they seemed to be? They talked of love and preached of love, but did not act so lovingly. Was that the day? So here, the poet questions the hypocrisy that exists among the adults. As the child grows up, he starts rationalizing, and once he starts rationalizing, he also starts seeing through the hypocritical standards of his elders. He understands that the adults are not always correct. They don't always speak the truth. They don't always follow what they dictate. They live under certain masks, under the covers. They teach the younger ones to show love, show care and respect towards others. But when it comes to practice, they don't really do so. So there is a vast difference between the real world of adults and what they actually try to show to the younger ones. Thus, the child learns that the adult world is not completely true or not completely real. The adults are hypocritical. And some way or the other, he feels that his own innocence gets tainted, distorted, corrupted as he grows up and enters maturity. Thus, his innocence is slowly lost. In the third stanza, the poet writes, "When did my childhood go?" He is repeating the question for the third time, as if he is not yet satisfied with the answers that he have got till now. Was it when I found my mind was really mine, to use whichever way I chose, producing thoughts that were not those of other people, but my own and mine alone? Was that the day? Here, the poet is talking about the creativity that develops as the child grows up. Earlier, every instruction, every order, every suggestion that was being given by the elders was blindfoldedly trusted by the child. He had never thought that his mind could be so creative, so productive. But once he starts rationalizing, once he learns that there is a difference between right and wrong, there are different paths which one can choose, he also learns that his mind was something that belongs only to him. No one else had the power to control or produce things in his mind. Rather, His thoughts are extremely personal, extremely individual. So he realizes that he is a different person. This is what is called self-discovery. Thus the child gains individuality, which is probably the last step towards gaining maturity. Coming to the last stanza, stanza 4. Here we find that there is a shift in the focus. Earlier, the poet was questioning the time when he had lost his childhood. Now, he wants to know the place where he had lost his childhood. And he writes, "Where did my childhood go? It went to some forgotten place that is hidden in an infant's face. That's all I know." He doesn't know anything else except this, that his childhood has gone to some forgotten place, a place which cannot be got back, a place which is distant. There is no limit, there is no way to go back to that place. This place is only in our memory. Our childhood is lost and there is no way to get back to it. However, we can relive our childhood, we can re-experience our childhood only by looking at, observing an innocent kid, an infant who has not yet forgotten his innocence. Thus, childhood once gone is gone forever. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, you may ask the questions on the comment box, or you can even write me back in my WhatsApp number. Till then, bye bye.